With the NBA season more than wrapped up and the playoffs almost over, award discussion has finally started to die down. And the award discussion this year mainly focused around the MVP race. Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But I think an award with more than a few good contenders, the most improved player, wasn't the focus of the conversation when I felt it should have been. I understand MVP will always be the main conversation debate, but I think this most improved player award was something important to how we decide what determines a winner for this award. Before I discuss the winner, Tyrese Maxey, I want to look back at the past two winners and what they have meant for the award. In back-to-back years, we've had two polar opposite winners in terms of definition and story, which kind of goes hand in hand, I suppose, for what I'm talking about with this year. First, in 2022, Ja Morant won the most improved player, and he did make a huge leap, going from potential blooming star to bona fide star in one season. But that's where many people's, including my own, problem came in. Ja greatly improved, but in a way that basically everyone could have predicted, and we all saw coming. It was expected. It wasn't a question of if or could Ja Morant become an all-star or a potential superstar, but just when. It felt pointless to give this award to someone who was basically meeting expectations. The writing was on the wall for Ja for a long time, so it didn't really feel like a most improved candidate season, even if he did make huge improvements. Fast forward to the next season, Lauri Markkanen, the 2023 winner, fits the expected definition way more. Lauri showed potential early in his career, but slowly found himself moving teams and seeming more like a complimentary role player than a potential star. And by the beginning of the 2022-2023 season, he was a throw-in for the Donovan Mitchell trade. Fast forward to the end of the season, and he's a 25-point scorer, 8 rebounds on great efficiency, and an all-star. A drastic improvement and turning his career around. I think for myself and many others, this fits the expected definition of most improved, similar to players who've won recently in the past like Julius Randle, Pascal Siakam, Victor Oladipo, CJ McCollum, and Jimmy Butler. So on one hand, a player like Morant made a huge leap. From a purely statistical perspective, it was a most improved player season. But the context around Morant's skill level and his leap definitely makes it harder to argue he's worthy of what the award is supposed to stand for. Because like I said, this leap was completely expected and Morant just hitting his potential. Lauri Markkanen was a player that teams and the league thought was just a solid role player, and like I mentioned, a throw-in for a star trade. So turning him from a mediocre role player to an exciting all-star and improving all of his stats fits the award definition way more, at least to most fans including myself. This year's race has a candidate for basically both. Tyrese Maxey falling a bit more into the Ja Morant camp, and Coby White falling more into the Lauri Markkanen camp. Ironic since they were both Bulls draft picks, but that's just a funny coincidence. And with Maxey winning, I think the NBA has officially decided which camp they are choosing. Tyrese Maxey, like Morant, had a greatly improved season, and I don't think anyone would disagree that he was a significantly better player this season than the last. But this was once again a player meeting expectations more than anything. I understand when he was drafted, people or even the Sixers didn't expect Maxey to reach this level, but since the 2022 season, when by the way Maxey finished top 6 in most improved player voting, I think everybody paying attention knew Tyrese Maxey was going to become a 20+ point per game all-star level guard. Before the 2022-2023 season, I and a lot of other people were predicting him to be a first-time all-star, which had happened due to Harden's presence still on the team, but it was something we knew he was capable of, and we knew it was coming the second he got lead guard opportunities. I want to make it very clear, I'm not trying to downplay the leap Maxey took, or even Ja Morant, and how improved of a player they became. Seeing Maxey turn into basically the perfect guard for Embiid and the Sixers after being a late first rounder who earned his minutes like a contender has been awesome. I mean, his 2022 campaign was actually pretty most improved worthy. But after that season, I think we knew who Maxey was becoming, and even if he surpassed expectations, this general level of skill was predicted and once again expected. Coby White had decently high expectations as the 7th pick, the Bulls' hopeful solution to their point guard problem. White showed good flashes, but I think Bulls fans and the organization found he wasn't the best point guard for this team, and as soon as Lonzo Ball came to Chicago, White's role and opportunity significantly decreased. And I and many other Bulls fans kind of accepted what we thought Coby White was. A good volume scorer at times, a creator off the bench, but not much more. Even when Ball went down, White barely saw more opportunity, and it wasn't until the tail end of the 2022-2023 season that he started showing flashes of this high-level player we see. Keep in mind, the 2023 season was by far White's statistically worst season too, as he didn't even hit the double-digit points per game mark, and although he trended up towards the second half of the season, the public perception wasn't high still. This season, White played amazing and had by far the best season of his career. He stepped up huge when Levine went down, averaging a bit over 22 points with nearly 6 assists in December and January. He then averaged over 20 in February, and although his March and April weren't the best, it's clear how much Coby had improved considering his down points of the season were still much better than his previous seasons, and he had taken a considerable leap in almost every department. White's improvement wasn't really something people were expecting. Sure, some Bulls fans and avid NBA watchers saw his end of season improvement, but I'd argue even they weren't expecting this. What also really helps White's case is that he was really trending down last season statistically, so his leap here feels even more tangible than Maxey's. I get why Maxey was picked. He was scoring at a higher volume and more consistent throughout the entire season. He was also a first-time All-Star playing next to Joel Embiid, so a contending team. Not to imply Maxey isn't a key part of that, but he was playing there last season too. For probably the millionth time, Tyrese Maxey made some huge leaps and improved greatly, but in an expected and predictable way. Maxey was checking boxes he was expected to, and like John Morant, didn't answer any could or if questions, but just improved as people predicted. Coby White improved in ways that even his biggest believers really didn't see coming. He took the leap from a rotational role player to borderline star and high-level offensive option. It gave a team with seemingly no young players to build around a solid guard who could be part of the future of the franchise. When I think back on some of the best cases of most improved player winners, I think of a player who really turned their career around and set themselves down a path to being a star or a completely new and revitalized player. I want to look at a 5-year stretch where I think each player symbolized what I think the most improved player award should be. Pascal Siakam found himself with a much bigger role and opportunity than he had got before, and on a team that just went all in, trading their franchise player for another star so they could try and win a championship. Siakam more than doubled his points per game and became a key player, arguably the third best, on a team that was the second seed with championship aspirations. In almost every way, Siakam was a largely improved player who Toronto could rely on as their blooming star and important Swiss Army knife when it mattered most. A kind of funny fact is that Siakam increased his production so much in the following year that he finished 7th in voting after winning it the previous year. Victor Oladipo was drafted with star-level expectations, found inconsistent opportunity in Orlando, and produced mediocre stats therefore. He was traded to OKC for Serge Ibaka and played just okay before being traded to Indiana in the Paul George trade. He then made a huge leap into a 23-point-per-game scorer and the first option on a bona fide playoff team. His defensive impact combined with his scoring capabilities led to being a first-time All-Star, All-NBA, All-Defense, and was the NBA steal champ. Oladipo jumped from a piece in the Paul George trade to an All-Star leading a team, and much like Coby White, improved his game in every way and rehabilitated his image to that of a promising young star. Unfortunately, injuries meant that this was the only season we really saw Oladipo reach his potential, but his most improved season was a very deserving one. Although it's funny to see Giannis having a most improved player when he is in like top 30 to top 20 all-time talks at the minimum, but at first it didn't seem like Giannis was going to be much, and I remember it being far from people's favorite prospect on the Bucks. Although in his previous season, Giannis was consistent and showed occasional flashes, his 2017 campaign was what really solidified people's mind that he was going to be something special. He improved in every statistical way, and he was the whole package on both sides of the ball. And the whole package on both sides of the ball we know today was pretty much established this season. Although Jokic never won a most improved player, I think similarly, it's hard to believe or remember that these players turned into anything near this good was far from the popular public opinion. And it's a big reason why Giannis was very deserving of this award. After the Blazers effectively lost their entire core before the 2015-2016 season, CJ McCollum found himself with a much bigger role and way more responsibility on a team expected to miss the playoffs without so many players that were big contributors last season. The Blazers were the 5th seed that season, and CJ was a huge reason why. He went from 7 points a game to nearly 21, he increased his efficiency in the process, and he was key to the Blazers quickly finding a new identity post-Aldridge leaving, and helping Dame find so many more opportunities by providing an actual lethal second threat on the perimeter. The all-star caliber, efficient shooter, and volume scorer we've seen CJ become today was born that season, and effectively out of the blue. Although in his first 3 seasons, Jimmy Butler had started to show himself as a capable defender and okay scorer, it wasn't until 2015 that the Bulls and Bulls fans realized he was potentially a high-level star and franchise cornerstone. I'm a Bulls fan, so I witnessed this firsthand, but in 2015, Jimmy Butler took a leap and became a first-time All-Star, as well as a capable first or second option on a team looking to contend. While we knew Butler was a positive and talented defender, it was this explosion to a relatively efficient 20-point-per-game scorer as essentially the first option for the Bulls that really blew us all away. You don't have leading the Heat to the NBA Finals Jimmy Butler if you don't have 2015 Jimmy Butler helping lead the Bulls to what could have been the conference finals or beyond if it wasn't for a certain LeBron James out east. If it wasn't clear why I listed these 5 straight examples, it was because I think during this period a trend was established that many NBA fans, including myself, kind of set as the new standard in our head. A player taking an unexpected huge leap or turning their failing, in quotation marks, career around and possibly reaching a higher level of stardom than most expected was what we came to want from the Most Improved Player award. So bringing it back to the current race, Coby White fits the expected definition of the award way more, and his story fits what people want the award to be way more. Tyrese Maxey made a huge leap, as I keep saying. There's no doubt about it. But like I've said a million times in this video, it was expected for Maxey to be this good and become an all-star. With Lowry Markkanen and winning after John Morant did, it felt like we were starting to course correct. But we've taken another step back this year, and I have to admit, I'm disappointed. Coby White, you're the people's most improved player and my most improved player. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. And let me know down below whether you agree or disagree with anything I said. As always, thank you for watching and peace.